I generally want to commit a felony when I see him. Bam. Now that's how you feel about your soulmate, people. Forget butterflies, we're talking potential jail time.
For context, that's the protagonist, Jess, talking about Dr. River Peña before she knows he's her supposed genetic perfect match in the Soulmate Equation. It's meant to show initial friction.
Friction? Darling, that's a restraining order waiting to happen. Welcome back to Heart Book Radio, the only book show that knows love means never having to say you're sorry, because you're too busy yelling. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Alistair. Today we're dissecting the Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, which, fascinatingly, is a pseudonym for two authors, a fact you find unduly suspicious.
It's a conspiracy, like Big Pharma, but for romance novels. Anyway, this book asks, would you spit in a tube for love? A company called GeneticAlly says your DNA holds the key to the one. Jess, our felony, contemplating heroin spits. Science spits back 98% match. Highest ever. With missed ever. Personality of a cardboard box Dr. River Ameripia, who she hates.
He's the founder of GeneticAlly, described as initially aloof and grumpy. Yes. But the premise explores whether data can predict compatibility.
Data? Schmata. They pay her. Cold hard cash. To date this grumpy science nerd who apparently looks like Keanu Reeves, which frankly is the only believable part of this whole setup. Because who wouldn't take money to date Keanu, even a grumpy version? I dated my neighbor Dave for 3 weeks just because he fixed my garbage disposal. No cash involved. Just desperation.
Please, let's not bring up neighbor Dave again. Let's talk about Jess. A single mom, a statistician quite relatable in her struggles, wouldn't you say? Trying to make ends meet.
Relatable. She's a doormat with a spreadsheet. Some reviewer nailed it. No personality whatsoever. She judges River instantly, calls him Americano, behind takes money to pretend date him. Sellout. My ex Gary, remember Gary? The one who thought artisanal toast was a personality trait? Even he had more backbone.
Gary also tried to pay you back for movie tickets in expired coupons. Jess is in a tight spot, and River isn't that bad. He's brilliant, dedicated.
Dedicated to being boring. Stuck up. Stubborn. Rudely aloof, sullen. Another reviewer, a personality of a cardboard box. He's got the alleged face of Keanu and the charisma of a dial tone. What a waste. And don't get me started on the conflict of interest to date Miss Company's demon match. For PR? Sketchy. Is he falling for her, or the IPO? Probably the IPO, rich tech bro cliché.
I think that's overly cynical. The narrative suggests he genuinely thaws, revealing hidden depths. It's a classic grumpy sunshine trope, albeit with a genetic twist.
Oh, he thaws. Like that block of ancient frozen chicken in the back of my freezer. Thrilling. The only character worth anything is Fizzy, the best friend. Made of charisma, witchcraft, and bad judgment. Now that's a character description. She pushes Jess to spit in the tube. She's the agent of chaos we deserve.
She's also wildly irresponsible, pushing her friend into an ethically dubious, potentially emotionally damaging situation orchestrated by a tech company.
Details. She's fun. Unlike Mr. 98%, I invented love but forgot how to smile PETA. Can we talk about their sex life? The reviews say medium spice. What does that even mean? Like a missionary position but they hold hands. Is the DNA dictating the spice level too? Warning, high probability of vanilla encounters.
It's about the emotional connection, allegedly sparked by the genetic compatibility.
Allegedly so. Mr. Nuance, is this book actually good or just shiny wrapping paper on a box of rocks? One reviewer called it addictive, adorable, funny, and swoon-worthy. Another, bless their honest heart, said, bland and boring like crazy. Dragged like creationship, a snooze fest, who do we believe?
Well, the premise is intriguing. It taps into modern anxieties about dating and our reliance on technology. Can love be quantified? It's a valid question wrapped in a rom-com package. Some found the chemistry electric.
And some found it non-existent. Like that time we discussed Crimson Moon over Suburbia, and you insisted the vampire accountant was a metaphor for late-stage capitalism, while I correctly pointed out he was just dull and needed better hobbies. You still owe me for that argument.
It was a metaphor, and this book isn't Crimson Moon. It has charm. We got a listener email asking, would you take $50,000 to date your genetic soulmate, even if you thought they were a drip?
Yes. $50,000, I'd date a sentient traffic cone for $5,000. Especially a Keanu-shaped one. But okay, fine, the book does make you think. If River were a sandwich, what would he be?
Oh, for heaven's sake, not this again.
No, really. He'd be rye bread. Seems complex, maybe a bit bitter, but ultimately just bread. And Jess is maybe a slightly wilted lettuce leaf, but genetically pays the delight to put them together and call it gourmet.
I concede the premise requires suspension of disbelief. And yes, River's behavior near the end is questionable, as some reviews noted. He doesn't grovel enough. But the idea, the potential for connection.
Potential doesn't pay the bills. Cash does, which Jess wisely took. Okay, the bit where Fizzy convinces Jess to spit in the tube. Comedy gold and the sheer awkwardness of the paid dates. Relatable cringe.
So, final verdict time. Despite my reservations about the ethical framework, I found it a surprisingly engaging thought experiment wrapped in a readable romance. I give it 6 out of 10 ethically dubious startups.
Thought experiment, please. It's corporate-sponsored fake dating with a side of Keanu. Parts were fun, mostly Fizzy, but River was a charisma vacuum and Jess needed more spark. I give it 4 out of 7 vials of spit I wouldn't trust with my love life, or my DNA privacy.
Contradictor as always.
Consistent is boring. Like River. Anyway, tune in next week when we tackle the underground sensation. My goldfish might be a Russian spy, seriously.
I highly doubt that's the title. Join us then on Heartbook Radio.
Spit wisely.